hand washing becomes a risk-based preventive control. Now, in another facility, say you're canning tomatoes, the hand washing is important, but it's not as critical. Yes. Because you're canning tomatoes. They go in a can, they get sealed, they get cooked, you're done. Yep. You're making a sandwich with your hands. So it's part of looking at where are those opportunities, because it's not one size fits all is really what I'm saying. Yes. And then when you sort of take it down to the restaurant level or the deli level, then within that you're handling the deli meats and the cheeses where there's risk of cross-contamination. As opposed to the guy who's loading the shelves with the canned tomatoes. Yep. I mean, again, it's looking for those opportunities and helping the food supplier, the retailer or the manufacturer, with your innovative solutions
So what you're saying is to work with more of the industry and have it more defined there?
It's
one of the things that we did with that process that we did for the military. So they've been using it in the military for years.
Yeah.
Then we went to Nevada. They had a situation where they weren't getting good enough hand washing at portable bars.
Right.
Because the gravity fed and all that stuff. So they found that the system was like a portable hand sink and much easier to put exactly where you want it. They started using it. They were operating under a letter of no objection from the local health department.
Yeah.
But over time, the constant pressure to get rid of it, even right now when there's a big outbreak at the Rio, and they got norovirus all over the place, and one of the charts behind you shows a formulation that actually kills norovirus.
Right. Well, that's impressive because that's hard to do.
It is.
Yeah.
And they're using that.
Yes.
They're using that in the battle, but yet the code resists.
And again, let's take norovirus as an example. We know that this is a nightmare on cruise ships, and that is, well, are we going to expect regulations to create this push for innovation like this, or are we going to expect the private sector to push it? And the answer to me is the private sector will push it, because you get 2,000 people sick on a cruise ship. You want this bug is probably what's caused it, and you got to knock it out. And the person-to-person spread and the door handles and the phones, and that's how it's moving around.
They've pretty much converted to that, and they did a presentation to the CDC's branch that does all the health stuff. What's that called?
Is it the Foodborne Disease and Diarrheal branch?
I'm just trying to think of the name of They serve as the health department for the cruise ships.
Oh yes, okay, I know who you mean.
Guys.
Yes, I know. Yeah, right.
They happen to like the system a lot, not for the ship. They like the product for the ship. They're all using it now. But what they liked about the system was the bugs. A lot of the bugs of the norovirus were coming from these shore excursions.
Yes,
and they had no control of the shore excursions.
Right.
Maybe we can insist on them having this. Great idea.
So, when you come back on board.
So the CDC and everybody's all excited about the possibility of that.
That's an example where the private sector, the cruise ships, have had some serious hits, business-wise, with that particular virus. So they get it. And there are other private sectors where it's equally as much of a risk, but they're not as aware. So I think a piece of it is, yes, you continue to drive the strategy to get the regulators to define these things, to help codify it, if you like, into the food code. That just takes time, but at the same time, look for those opportunities on the private side, so that you're working at it from two angles.